We're in North Miami Beach, Florida, speaking with Michael Dezer of Dezer Properties in New York, Los Angeles, and Miami Beach, and as we're going to be seeing in today's show, the owner of the Dezer Collection, a unique and amazing collection of vintage and movie cars. Michael, I want to thank you for being on the show today and appreciate it greatly you being here. You know, for our viewers, your story is truly an amazing one. You grew up in Tel Aviv.
Yes.
And then after serving in the Israeli Air Force, you came to America. As many new immigrants, many new Israelis come to these shores. And from that very humble beginning, you have built an empire of properties and museums. Where was that vision?
Well, I didn't originally immigrate to America. I came here to go to school. And I went to school, for 9 years. Got my BBA, my MBA as an evening student, and then decided to stay here. My original intention was to finish college and go back to Israel. But nevertheless, in November, I'm going to be 50 years in this country, and I'm very happy about it.
What were you training for to go back to Israel?
At that time, they started with television back in the early 60s. And it was, I was starting to do television commercials. And then I got into advertising and marketing as a result of it.
Michael, I know you were instrumental in creating the new Chelsea, taking those old buildings and making some. What was your vision to get in on that ground level and realize what the future was going to be?
Like I said, my advertising agency was on Madison Avenue, which was the mecca of advertising. And the rents were very, very expensive over there. So I bought a building in Chelsea, and I said, let me bring the rest of my friends in the advertising business to Chelsea. And we started to invite them to come, and many, many, many of them came. And I bought many, many buildings to accommodate them. And I started it in 70, and I think in 73 I already got out of totally of the advertising business and went full-time into the real estate business, actually taking Chelsea and converting it to what it is today, an arts, the hottest arts area of New York City. And that's what I did over there. And until today, we are the largest landlord in the Chelsea area in New York.
And then from there, you expanded to Las Vegas, those properties.
Yes.
And to Miami Beach, and particularly your association with Donald Trump and the building here. Tell us a little bit about how you moved into Florida and what you did for the area.
In the early 80s, President Reagan changed the rules about real estate, about the depreciation. And regular buildings were not as desirable anymore as hotels. Because in hotels, you can take the furniture and fixtures and depreciate them over 5 years, versus land, he took it from 14 years to 40 years. So we decided, let's go after hotels. And I bought the first hotel here back in the 80s. And then when I saw that the Sunny Isles area has a lot of dilapidated motels, but on a beautiful, beautiful beach, I repeated what I did in Chelsea. In Chelsea, they called me Mr. Pac-Man. I was buying them one after the other. So I became Mr. Pac-Man in Miami too, we bought 22 motels on the ocean, and we developed almost 60% of them into high-rises, and we still have enough motels to develop, to do, more development with them. As a matter of fact, we are right now building the tallest building in Sunny Isles Beach. It's going to be a 57-story building. We got, as you introduced me as a car person, so we got a license from Porsche Design, and we are building the Porsche Design Tower on the ocean, where the way to get into your apartment, you have to take your car to the elevator, and the elevator takes you up to your apartment, and you have a house in the sky. And that's what we're working on right now. That's the new challenge that we have.
And we are here today at the Dezer Collection, and our audience is going to be getting a little tour as we walk through and see these amazing rooms. You got into the car business because of your great love for the 50s. Tell us a little bit how this developed from a passion into a museum of hundreds of cars as well as your other museums.
Well, in Israel, I liked cars, and I had, before I went to the army, I took my Vespa to Europe, and for 2 months I crossed all over Europe with the Vespa, and then came back to Israel, and the next day went to the army. While I was in the army, I was able to buy a 1949 Plymouth from a doctor. I bought a Harley Davidson from the police, and that's how I started my love to the oldies. Then I bought an old Jeep and while we were in the army, we were restoring them, and playing with them. And when I came to America, I mean, this is the land of all these old cars, and they were very, very inexpensive. So I started to buy them slowly, and that's how I started with the 50s. And then when I decided, and it was a very big collection, and then when I decided to make it into a real museum, I said the museum need old cars from the teens, from the 20s, from the 30s, from 40s and 50s and 60s. So I built an eclectic collection of cars that now is the biggest in the world. We have 8 museums under one roof: the American classic cars, the European classic cars, the military classic vehicles, bicycles, motorcycle, scooter collection, which is a museum by itself. Then we have micro cars, what's today the smart car. In Europe, it was very popular in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. So we have about 200 micro cars, which is another museum by itself. And then the hottest thing is cars of the stars, cars that used to belong to different movie stars, and also cars that used to be in the movies. So we have a large collection of that. And the highlight of the collection is the James Bond collection that has the biggest collection in the world, actually the only collection in the world, that of a James Bond museum. And it's amazing. We have, from every one of the movies that James Bond did, we have at least 1 or 2 or 3 props from the movies. It can be a car, a motorcycle, a submarine, an aeroplane, a helicopter. We have them all. And nobody in the world has it. And it's all here in North Miami.
So let me, for visitors who are going to come and see the Dezer collection, how many vehicles are in the collection?
Over 1,000 vehicles for them to see and enjoy. And we encourage people to come, have lunch here, watch movies, and stay here 4 or 5 hours and have a good time. And bring a camera with you, take pictures. We're allowed to take pictures. Everybody can take pictures and enjoy themselves.
Michael, I want to thank you for taking some time and being with us.
My pleasure.
And friends, stay tuned because we are going to be back with some amazing footage of cars and vehicles from all over the world
that you have never seen before.